Hello and welcome to a beautiful morning in the Brecon Beacons where we've just done an overnight test in the Robens Mountain Bivvy. What we'll do in this video is we'll take a quick look around the bivvy and we'll just give you my first impressions on an overnight in really heavy rain and waking up to a glorious morning. So we'll just see how it was for sort of condensation, general space and just general feel and whether I want to keep it or not. As you can see, it packs down extremely small. Now I have just packed this away from the overnighter. Took me 2 attempts to get it into the bag. First time I rolled up it wasn't tight enough. Second time, a bit of a squeeze. Once it's actually in the bag, it feels like there's plenty of room, but I think if you were not wanting to have a stress of trying to get it back into this bag, you could just take a little dry bag and stuff it into that. But once it's in the bag, it is extremely compact and very light. The RRP officially is 90 quid, but you can find them online for new for as little as 70 quid or 69.99, and they often crop up on eBay new or barely used for around £50. So I think I paid around the £50 mark for this one, so I think it's a really good value piece of kit. I will put the sizes up throughout the video, and I'll also cover off the different materials when we look at the bivvy itself. So here's the bivvy set that I used last night. Got a Nordisk Voss Ultralight 5 tarp, and I've just got the bivvy just on the ground, just pegged out of the 4 corners and nicely lying down within the confines of the tarp. Now you can see the bottom was pretty close to the edge of the tarp. It did absolutely bucket down last night, but you can see you've got quite a lot of grey material, which is the ground sheet, so that kept my feet dry. And then the top of the bivvy did catch a bit of water and it's been perfectly waterproof. So you can see inside the space that I've got a Thermarest Neo sleep mat, and that it's not really hitting the bottom of the bivvy, so you can push that down further if you wanted to. And then you've got plenty of space in the head end for various bits of gear and stuff. So yeah, really decent sized bivvy, and you can see the width that you've got on it, plenty of width to move around and stuff. And you could put the bivvy to one side and have more gear down the side as well if you wanted to. Plenty of options. So I've tried to get most of the bivvy inside the tarp to be dry, but we'll see how water resistant it is if there's rain kind of flapping around and stuff. But yeah, the tarp is pitched fairly low, so hopefully keep the worst of the rain off. I mean, that really heavy shower didn't seem to come in here too much. So initial impressions then of my first camp out in the Robens Mountain Bivvy. It is really spacious. I knew that from the specs. Plenty of width, so the sleeping mat was nowhere near the sides. I could have had a much bigger sleeping mat in there and perhaps had a slightly better sleep. Plenty of length, so the sleep mat will go right the way down. Then in the head end you do get quite a lot of secure space to keep valuables and stuff, so easy enough space for some camera gear and bits and pieces and stuff, and keep them out of any inclement weather, which is really good. I didn't have it hung up particularly well because of the weather last night. I didn't get that set up properly, but even without that, I think obviously it is a bivvy designed where you can hang up if you want to, so you get a bit of extra sort of head space, but it's also a bivvy you can just chuck on the floor and get into and go to sleep. So I didn't find it restrictive at all, even though it was kind of just against my face. Slept really well in it actually, and the mesh material was just absolutely fine to give me a bit of breathability. There was some condensation, but it was an extremely wet night. It was absolutely bucking it down when I got set up. I was wet, so I was, had wet clothes and stuff when I got into the bivvy. So it definitely had a pretty tough night in terms of bug on me, moisture challenge. But no, I slept really well, and I'll definitely be using it again. And obviously my favourite feature is the big zip. It makes getting in and out of the bivvy such a pleasure. I mean, if you have got stuff stored at the head end, you haven't got to keep moving every time you want to get in and out. So now obviously the kind of tarp I'm set up under and the kind of conditions I had last night, this is not a waterproof bivvy. Claims to be very water resistant, but it's not waterproof. So I did have rain hitting the top of the bivvy
when it was at its heaviest, and it stayed absolutely dry. At the top end of the bivvy, you do have the kind of the ground sheet material going up quite a long way, so that should be very waterproof. And I'm not sure if there's any rain hitting the very bottom of the bivvy, but that's absolutely dry as well. My feet are perfect, and the sleeping bag is still great. So as long as you've got a fairly sheltered tarp, you should be absolutely fine in this. And I think if it's going to be a light shower, you'll probably be okay as well. But obviously you don't have much protection where the tarp is zipping up, because if it's blowing around, then it's going to open up that mesh vent and you're going to get rain in through there. So you are going to want to use this with a tarp if you're expecting any kind of showers or rain, really, in my opinion. So generally really positive first impressions from the Robens Mountain Bivvy. I think it's a pretty solid value item, really good quality, feels well made, good materials. People will probably say totally not for them because it's not waterproof, completely understand, but if you are going to be camping in nice weather, which we do get occasionally in the UK, or you're happy to use a decent tarp to protect yourself, then I think it is perfectly fine for UK use. The main reason I got it was for the long zip down the side, and this is the kind of setup I want to use with it, because you can just simply stroll up, get into the bivvy really easily. There's no clamshell, there's no front entrance to try and crawl through, there's no climbing over your own stuff to try and get in. Just really civilised, unzip like you would with a sleeping bag, get in and feel protected from most of the elements, and plenty of space, plenty of room for your gear at the head end. Yeah, for me, for my kind of camping, it makes an awful lot of sense, and it's the first bivvy that I've got that I can definitely see myself keeping. And obviously last night we had torrential rain, so the tarp was an absolute must, but in dry weather I could see myself just using the bivvy, just pegged out on the floor like that, and having a really good night's sleep. So if you're in the market for one, yeah, they're pretty good value new, but I would definitely try and find one used or new on eBay, because I've definitely seen some really good deals on them, and they do tend to crop up quite regularly as well, so do check that out. And yeah, hopefully the video will be in some help and interest to you if you are interested in this bivvy, you want to find a bit more about it and stuff. If I've missed anything, not covered anything, then just drop me a comment and I will have a look and get back to you. Anyway, huge thanks for watching the video, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one.